Started with our webinar today, I just wanted to start out by number one, kind of introducing reviewer and why we're hosting this webinar today, and then kind of go into our topic. So for those of you that don't know, Reviewer is an applicant management platform. So essentially, any program where you're intaking any kind of application and then it goes through any sort of review or judging process, Reviewer can run it. So that is anything from scholarships to grant programs. We run lots of different contests, different award programs, call for speakers, call for abstracts, competitions, all sorts of things like that. So we run lots of different programs that are intaking applications and judging. Today, we are going to focus on grants specifically. So, kind of why Reviewer is bringing you this webinar today is over the years, we have hosted thousands of different grants and scholarship programs. So we've kind of just compiled a lot of the best practices and things to kind of get ready for your program before your season actually starts. We know that we are starting to come up on kind of scholarship and grant season, both of them. So just kind of building a checklist to kind of get prepared for that. So these are kind of just compiled from what we have seen from the thousands of different programs and things we have compiled from current clients, and as well from just things and insights within the grant space. So, with that being said, my name is Callie. I run all of our marketing here at Reviewer, and I am kind of just going to run you through our topic today, which is the essential checklist to a successful grant season. So, this is all about what comes before you actually hit your grant season, before you start intaking applications, and all sorts of things like that. So we are going to go ahead and get right into it. First, I want to start out with why preparation matters. So this webinar is all about prep and all of what happens beforehand. So why at Reviewer we think prep is so important is just from what we've seen with current clients. We know that once your program gets started and you are already taking in applications, you're in your judging process, all of that, things kind of get hectic. And typically, what we see is our admin, you guys who are running these grants or all of your programs in general. Typically, this is just maybe a piece of your job and you do a lot of other things. So, making sure that preparation takes place so when you do get in your busy season, you have you're not too bogged down. You still have time for all the other things that you guys may be doing, and just to help your grant program run as smoothly and as efficiently as possible. So, with our current clients, we have seen when the preparation work takes place, we see 60% less admin time spent. So, that's you guys doing things as the program is going on. We see a 3 times faster review process. So that is your judging. It goes much quicker and smoother for your judges. And then lastly, a 40% higher completion rate for your applicants. We know that from year to year, you guys are typically looking at growing your program and growing your application. So having that prep work is really going to allow you to do that. All right, so today's agenda, we are going to go through 6 different pieces of checklist. The first one being optimizing your application intake. So this is all application focused and for your applicants. The second one is preparing your review panel. These are your judges, getting them ready, prepped for everything they might need. The third one is a fair and defensible decisions. So this is kind of building your process to be as fair as possible. The fourth one is grantee relationship management. So these are the people that actually receive your grants and the relationship between you guys and them and what follows the program. 5 is building a realistic timeline. And then 6 is common pre launch mistakes, things that we're seeing happen before you even start intaking applications. And now, as I'm kind of rolling through these here today, our chat is open. So feel free to drop any questions you might have in the chat as I'm rolling along, and I will answer as I go. So we are going to hop right into our first piece of the checklist, and that is optimizing your application intake. So, the first kind of piece of the checklist that we see really helpful for a lot of our clients is an eligibility screening. So, essentially, what we see happening frequently is sometimes applicants don't read well enough or don't realize they aren't eligible. They will go and fill out an entire application, submit it to you. You will look at it, review it, realize they weren't even eligible in the first place to receive that grant. So having an eligibility screening based on your guys's kind of parameters, that's just a few questions before they actually start filling out the application to know if they are eligible. And if they answer those correctly and are eligible, it would then pop them into the form. The second one here is clear form design. So this is just trying to avoid applicant drop off. So this is using things to hopefully push your applicants all the way to the end of your application. So this is things like a save and log out button. Typically, what we see is if an applicant starts filling out an application and then they might need an upload or a file or something they don't have, or they get busy and they leave. Typically, if their work is not saved, we oftentimes don't see them coming back, redoing everything they did and submitting that form. So, kind of designing the form to help push them through. Our third one here is supporting documents. So, that might be any kind of file upload. It could be letters, budgets, tax documentations, any files that you might be collecting, just being very clear on the requirements and make the actual upload as simple as possible for them, and as safe and secure. So that is typically where we see people run into issues with that within their program is when documents are being emailed back and forth. Things are getting put into spreadsheets. This is unsecure for your applicant's personal information, especially if you are receiving any more intense or confidential documents, things like that. So having a secure platform to put those in can be helpful for your applicants. And then our last one is smart fields. So that's using conditional logic to kind of hide or show questions. So for example, say if you ask a simple question. If they answer yes, then three more questions might pop up, or one that has to pertain to that question. Or if they answer no, none pop up. Something like that to kind of help for applicants who don't necessarily need all of those questions because they might not apply for them. It can make the form short or longer and kind of be more tailored to your applicant. So I will show you really quickly kind of what some of this might look like in reviewer, just so you can kind of visualize it rather than just me saying it to you. So I'm going to pop right in. Okay, this is our submission experience. So this is the first thing your applicants would see when they pop into reviewer. They are able to create an account, or if they have an existing account, log in. And as you can see, as they get started through their application, there is a save and log out button. So if they get started, they don't have what they need or not enough time, they can save and log out and keep on going. And then right here is the eligibility check that I mentioned. Now this example is a pretty extensive eligibility check. Typically we see about 1 to 4 questions that will let us know if they're eligible, but that can kind of change depending on your program and what you're looking for. So they would answer these questions and click next. And if they don't qualify for any of your grants or the grant they are trying to apply for, it'll pop them up a little message. I'm sorry, you do not qualify, or it will pop them right into the form if they do qualify. If you are offering more than one grant program, as you see here, it'll show them which ones they qualify for and they can check and move on. And then you pop right into the form. There are options for text boxes, things like that. And then we have our file uploads right here. Reviewer is a data secure platform, so they are able to upload those without fear that any of that data will be going anywhere. All right. Next, we are going to move on to our second piece, which is arguably one of the most important pieces to your process, and that is preparing your review panel before you actually even start intaking applications. Sometimes we see that programs will wait until they are already taking their applications to kind of pull their judges together and get everything ready. And it really just makes the time super difficult, kind of cramped. It's hard to get all of the things done that you need to get done in that small time period. So, prepping your review panel is super important. So, the first piece to that is recruiting and onboarding early. And when we say onboarding, that is actually bringing your reviewers into the tool, your judges, having them log in, make sure that everything's working for them, that they have no issues, and recruiting them, getting them signed on, and everything ready to go. And if you do have kind of a lengthy, complicated process, getting them in early will ensure that when they actually go to judge, they won't have any issues and have to fix it and wait 3 days until they can actually get in there and start judging. The second one, like I said, is logging in early, getting familiar. The third one is calibration sessions. So this is actually meeting with your judges, possibly bringing some examples of what you consider to be a good applicant, kind of giving them a baseline to work off of. Each judge might think differently from one another. To me, a 6 might be a really good score, and to another judge, a 6 might not be a very good score. So, having those calibration sessions, setting your expectations for the judges, and making sure that their judges aligns with one, your organization's mission and your goals and your overall goals for the program. Our fourth one is smart assignment and work overload. So this is properly distributing your applications amongst your judges. So not having judges judge too many submissions where they are kind of bogged down and feel like they can't get through it. We also want them to give their best judging applications 1 through 5. So if you have too many applications by the time they get to the end, we see maybe they're going faster, maybe they're not taking as careful consideration. And then also, that is where we see some of the judging bias kind of take place. Um, we kind of see possibly you just go through alphabetically and start assigning judges and applicants. The issue with that being is if judges are evaluating 5 different applicants, if your last name maybe starts with a Z, you might be getting judged by 3 different judges, but you're judged last every single time by that judge. So having that randomization is just super important. Having that be easy for you as admin to do, to just ensure that there's no bias along here and that everybody is just fair and equal in this process. And then our last one is clear instructions and intuitive tools, making sure that your judges are clear on their instructions beforehand so they can ask questions before you actually get started. Because when you're in your assigning process and getting those out, questions coming in then are going to be a lot harder for you to get back to them quickly versus if it's before your program even starts. You can kind of take your time and give them a well thought out answer. So I will show you some of those within Reviewer. So this is kind of creating your review workflow. So I'll walk you through that. As you see right here, these are all of our different applicants. They have judges assigned to them. You are able to import all of your applicants and reviewers. You click over to your viewers, you can go to bulk actions. And here you can just auto randomly assign judges to applicants. You can make sure that each applicant is judged 3 times or 4 times, five, maybe one, whatever that may be for you. And the system will just auto assign them for you. So you don't have to worry about it. And you can kind of just push it out. If you want to manually assign or you have some issues with the auto assign, you can go in and select judges for applicants yourself. And then right here, you are able to see which judge is assigned to who. Now, this is your review and selection experience. So this is as if you were a judge. You would log in and see all of the submissions that you have. You are then able to go in to a submission, and then you have your side-by-side scorecard and application. So here is your application you can scroll through, and here is your scorecard as you're scoring. You can see all of their uploads and attachments. Click right in and see what they uploaded. And then I will take you back over to our third piece here. And this is a fair and defensible funding decisions. So this is when your program is all said and done, being able to defend your program and have just have the security as an organization that this was as fair and unbiased process as you possibly could have built. So this is set up before the program even starts to take place. So the first thing underneath that is defining your framework, establishing your selection criteria before it begins, exactly what you're looking for, and then kind of build your form around what you are looking for and what you want to intake, maybe your organization's goals or values, things like that. And then possible multi-phase review processes. You might have first round, second round, preliminaries, stuff like that. And then panel deliberation. So this is something that you kind of want to set up beforehand. If you are wanting kind of your panel or your board to kind of meet, we have seen some clients where judges will judge all of the applications, and then maybe the top 5 or 10 will go to a panel, and they will deliberate and choose your winners from there. And then the last one is score normalization, which is really important. And I will explain it and then I'll kind of show it to you. So essentially what score normalization is I might be a really, really tough judge and I might score pretty hard. And one of my colleagues or other judges might score pretty easy. So the issue with that is I probably, if I'm an applicant, I really want that easy judge to score me rather than me who scores a little bit tougher. So a way to kind of combat that, show you right here, is a score normalization. So as you can see right here, you have all of your judges up top and all of the scores they gave to any applicants. Now, you can see on average, Judge Judy gives a 23.8. That is her average score amongst everybody she judged. Now, if you pop over here to Tony, you'll see that his average score was a 34.1. So he scored overall applicants much, much higher than Judge Judy did. So that is where we can see some discrepancies within scoring. So kind of the solution to that is you would take Tony's average score, which is a 34.1, and anybody he scores that scores higher than that um, would be above that numerically. So anybody that scored a 34.1 is automatically considered a 1. Anybody that scores higher than that would be a 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, depending on how above or below they scored, or it would be below the one. Now, Judge Judy would also be the same. So anybody who scores above her average would be above a one, and anybody who scores below her average would be below. So then all of the scores are based on their average. So you have your one true highest scores within your programs, regardless of which judge they get. All right, now we are going to rock. We're kind of switching gears here. We're moving into number 4, which is the grantee relationship management. So oftentimes after your program is all said and done, we see lots of programs still needing stuff from their grantee. You need that relationship, you need that communication. What we want to see is lots of kind of easy ways to communicate with your winners after they receive their grants. So to kind of start that off, the first one would be plan post awards before the launch. So make sure you plan out your process, how you are going to kind of orchestrate that. The second one is grant agreements and compliance documents. So if you have any sort of document that you need filled out from your grantee after they receive their award, having those all together. There might be letters, agreements, templates, different things that they need to turn in, making sure you have that before your program starts. The third one would be progress in impact reporting. So that is being able to kind of track milestones and see where they're at with that. Within Reviewer, we actually have an option for them to come back into the platform. It could be months after, years after, and turn in any type of files that you may need, any proof of anything within your process or what the money was used for, anything like that. They can come back in and submit that. We also have an opportunity for automation. So you can set up automation and it'll automatically email them and remind them if they haven't turned the stuff in, and kind of keep on them so it's kind of out of your hair. And you can track the progress to see what they have turned in and what they have not turned in. Well, now we are moving in to our 5th piece of our checklist, which is building a realistic timeline. So the step 1 to that is kind of working backwards from your award date. So we'll kind of start with what day you want to announce your awards and pick your winner, and then kind of map backwards from there through each of your phases. Step 2 is to build buffer time. So kind of give a little bit of leeway than you think you are going to need. That is kind of just preparing for any malfunctions that may happen, issues with judges, issues with applicants. So leave a couple days buffer from the start of your program to the end of your program, just to kind of give a little bit of room for error and be able to fix those and to hopefully keep the program running smoothly. The third one is set your milestones. Before you even get started, different checkpoints, what days applications close, when does review start, when are the judges notified, when your final selection, set all of those milestones beforehand. And then the fourth is communicate early and often. And this is communication with everyone. Share your timeline with your judges, just so they are aware. Board members, external partners, applicants, things like that. So everybody is on the same page. And really quickly, I will jump back in here and kind of show you within Reviewer what those milestones can look like. So this would be your admin dashboard. You can see how many days you have left in your program, your total entries, forms submitted, the status of all of them, how many have started and not completed it yet. And then right here, you have all of your milestones. So you can see your application close date, impact reporting phase, all of your different milestones you can see right within here and kind of where you're at. And then down here, you can see all of your submission notes from your reviewers. All right, now I am going to finish off with some of the common pre-launch mistakes that we see. So, number one is before you actually get started, we see poor end-to-end testing. So we recommend testing your program from start to finish before the program is even launched. So that is everything from your actual application to finalizing your applicants and announcing those winners. The second one is high barrier applications. We see some programs with really complex forms or requirements, sending things through email and spreadsheets and all of these things that are a little bit messy can kind of raise the barrier for your applicants. We want to make it as easy as possible for them to get in these submissions and kind of put their best foot forward. The third one is disconnected systems. So that again is using a bunch of different programs to kind of pull into one. So you might be using Google Docs, you might be using your email, you might be using spreadsheets, different forms for judges to um, score, and it kind of just gets messy. We want everything kind of centralized in one spot. That is kind of the idea of a platform like Reviewer, is it's just all in one place. Things can get lost, especially within email and spam folders, things like that. And then your fourth one is understanding review time. So this is giving your judges ample time to judge and get everything completed. If you do have an extensive application, giving those judges more time to kind of get through those, you might actually judge a sample application yourself and see how much time that takes and kind of talk with your judges based on their schedules and how much time they might have. And then our fifth one is misaligned with stakeholders. So this is forgetting to align with staff members or boards or reviewers on kind of your criteria and what your program looks like, making sure that everyone's on the same page before you get launched, because those changes are hard to make mid-program. And then our last one is post-award afterthought. So treating grantee management and reporting as something to figure out later. From what we have seen, typically when you are running these grant programs, normally somebody within your organization, um, they want to see when the program is all said and done, how effective it was, where that money went to, how did it affect your community or the people who awarded those grants? What was the impact? What are your application numbers year to year? Things like that. So considering those beforehand and how are you are going to report on those and get those things ready and not just treat it as an afterthought. Within Reviewer, we do have quite a few reporting metrics that you can kind of pull automatically, but knowing what you want to report on before you get started can help you kind of align your applications and the way you are in taking those kind of based on that. So I am now going to open it up for Q&A. So feel free to drop those in the chat. And it looks like we already have some. A huge increase in the amount of grant proposals. How should you handle this? I think this, I'm assuming, is coming from a judging perspective and being able to kind of look through all of those. Kind of a new thing coming out within Reviewer, just a little idea, is kind of our AI feature. So we are launching an AI feature that will actually go into each application um, and go through it for you and create you a little synopsis of the application, just to kind of trim it down for you so judges don't have to look through every piece, and can kind of maybe narrow down your top 10 from there, and then you kind of go through them. Another thing that we have seen clients do is kind of that multi-phase style grant program. So essentially your initial application may be smaller, and you will review all of those. They're shorter, and then maybe you pick your top 15 that move into phase two. And then they can come back into reviewer or to your program and submit maybe a more extensive application, file uploads, things like that. So then you are reviewing those at a smaller scale. That's something that we have seen be really valuable for um, clients. And then a third one would also be increasing your judges if you can. If you cannot, possibly shortening your form or having less judges review every form. We typically don't recommend, if you are getting tons and tons of applications, we don't recommend having every judge look at every single application. If you have that score normalization, then that won't be necessary and can kind of take a little bit of the load off of your judges. Um, is there a limit to how many applications it can handle? So Reviewer does not have a limit to how many applications we can intake. We have some programs that maybe get 5 to 10 applications, and then we also have programs who are getting thousands of applications. So we run a large scale of really small programs to really large programs within Reviewer. Yes. Question about buffer time. So typically at Reviewer, we would recommend adding at least about 3 to 5 days, depending on your program. If you feel like you have had issues with judging in the past, or things kind of taking you a while to get everything set up, we would recommend sticking more near that 5 days. Versus if in the past your program has been running really smoothly with judges, maybe you stick more to that 3. What we often see happening is you will put all of your judges in there, and then you'll have a couple judges wait till maybe the last 1 to 2 days. Um, and then they will go in and try to do all those applications, not realizing how long it actually is going to take them. So giving that 3 to 5 day window, just in case that happens, and kind of expanding the judge's time frame can be super helpful. We do not have a specific document that outlines the grant making process. However, I can drop a link just for everyone here in the chat really quickly. That link right there will book you a meeting with a member from our team, and they can kind of pull you through an entire workflow and outline within Reviewer for a grant program, and kind of give you some examples. And then also, if you're looking for anything like pricing or maybe how your program specifically would work within Reviewer, some of our more advanced features that kind of weren't showcased today, it was just kind of baseline. You can book a meeting right there with them, and they should be able to help you out with that or any questions you have. Okay, so it looks like we have a question about the AI segment. So the AI segments will be an additional cost. We have several different AI features coming out. We have the ability to scan documents and make sure, typically, your standard person might not know how to read things like tax documents or things like that. So we can have AI scan those for you and check that what is submitted in those documents lines up with what they entered within the form. We also have plagiarism and AI detection coming out. You can scan all of their um, submission uploads and things that they have typed in to make sure that they are not plagiarized or used written by any sort of AI. And then we also have a couple more judging AI features to kind of make it go smoothly. So depending on what you're looking for, we'll kind of shift the cost around a little bit. We have lots of AI features that will be coming out. So it just depends on what you're kind of looking to do with that. And then there is not a limit to data a program can hold or how many submissions you can have. Typically, we see your program gets copied over year to year. So then it is a new program that you can run, but you don't lose access to that old program. Your last 1, 2, 3 years, you can still go back into those and kind of look at your data, look at your submissions, and have all of that accessible. Yes, so I'm guessing this is about kind of confidentiality using AI. So this is one of the number one reasons why Reviewer is implementing AI within our system. What we have seen a lot of people in the grant space and just programs in general doing is actually taking your submissions, putting them into things like ChatGPT or things like that to kind of help you like sift through things and all of that. And the issue with that is these are very large companies, and then that data is no longer secure. So essentially, you are opening up your applicants to their data to be sold. Once it is put into things like that, programs like that, you don't know where that data is going and is what is happening to it. And that is why we are trying to implement AI within Reviewer, because we do have our data security certifications and we pride ourselves in having a secure platform. So we are working with an AI organization to make sure that is secure within our platform. That data cannot go anywhere, and your applicants will be safe once that gets put in. All right. Well, if we do not have any more questions, thanks for attending our webinar today. Be on the lookout for the follow-up from our team. They'll be able to help you out with any questions you have or kind of give you some of the follow-up information from these slides and the recording if you need to send it out maybe within your organization or kind of go back through things slower. Yeah, be on the lookout for that. But thank you for attending our webinar today.